Hello and welcome to UYG Social Enterprises live broadcast. We're also known as Unleash Yourself with Gladness, CIC. We are a community interest company based in Maidstone, Kent. This is our day one of the 16-day campaign against domestic abuse, organized by KCC and Medway. My name is Gladness Yankui. I'm the founder and executive director for UYG Social Enterprise, and we're joined here today with Christina White, who is our UYG ambassador. She is also our project manager. She is a coach. She's a resilience coach and a confident coach. But not only that, she is the current Miss Great Britain Kent. Welcome, Christina.
Hi, lovely to be here.
We are also joined by Egwono Aritoma. She is our lead counselor. She's also a mental health nurse. But not only that, she's also known as Mrs. Our Love. Thank you so much for being here today, Egwono.
Thank you for having me.
So, Christina is going to host our day one. So, go ahead, Christina.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me. And it's so nice to be your host today as we embark on this important journey together. This year, our campaign theme is Join Queens, Elevate, End Abuse. It's a powerful call to action for women and communities to come together, support one another, and work towards ending domestic abuse in all its forms. Domestic abuse is a pressing issue that affects millions of people globally, including here in our own communities. Over the next 16 days, we'll be exploring ways to raise awareness, provide support, and empower survivors with the tools and skills they need to rebuild their lives. Today, we begin this journey with a panel discussion featuring expert voices and survivor stories. Together, we will discuss the importance of understanding domestic abuse, breaking the silence, and the transformative power of skill building. Thank you for joining us. Together, let's elevate lives and work to end abuse. I'm going to pass you over now to Egwono, our lead counsellor, who's going to explain the purpose of this campaign.
Thank you, Christina. I'm Egwono, and I'd like to share the purpose behind the 16 Days End Domestic Abuse campaign and why we've chosen this year's theme. Join Queens, Elevate, End Abuse. Domestic abuse can take many forms: physical, emotional, financial, or even digital. It's important that we reach far and beyond the individual affecting families, communities, and society as a whole. Here in Kent and Medway, we recognize the urgent need not only to raise awareness, but also to take meaningful action. This campaign is about coming together as a community, as queens, united in our mission to uplift and empower survivors. By joining forces, we can elevate voices, provide resources, and challenge the systems and behaviors that perpetrate abuse. Through our 16-day program, we aim to educate, inspire, and equip individuals with practical skills that foster independence, healing, and resilience. This is our why. Because everyone deserves to live free from abuse, together, let's join hands, elevate lives, and work to end domestic abuse. So please, Christina, can you just go ahead and let us talk more about domestic abuse?
Thank you, Egwono, for sharing such a meaningful message. Now let's take a look at what's ahead over the next 16 days of the 16 Days to End Domestic Abuse campaign. Each day focuses on a specific theme that supports our overarching goal of joining queens, elevating lives, and ending abuse. Here's a preview of what's coming up. Days 2 to 3 is understanding domestic abuse and its impact. We'll explore the different forms of abuse and their effects on individuals and communities. Days 4 to 5 is breaking the silence through skill building, empowering survivors to reclaim their voice and seek support. Days 6 to 7 is financial literacy as a tool for independence, teaching essential financial skills to support independence and recovery. Days 8 through 10, building digital skills for empowerment and safety, helping survivors navigate the digital world safely and effectively. Days 11 through 12 is empowering mind and body, highlighting holistic approaches to healing and recovery. And 13 to 14 is elevate skills, elevate lives, celebrating the transformative power of skill building. Day 15 is Join Us in Elevating Skills and Ending Abuse, reflecting on the campaign and the role we all play in ending domestic abuse. And Day 16 is a thank you and the journey ahead, celebrating our progress and looking forward to the continued advocacy. Throughout this campaign, we'll feature expert panels, survivor stories, and practical tools to inspire action and foster change. We also host an in-person event on the 4th of December in Maidstone, and we encourage you to join us there. Now let's begin our first panel discussion.
Thank you so much, Christina. So we're going to start our panel discussion now. We will be the panel sharing our expertise and our experience on the subject of domestic abuse. The very first question we have is, what is domestic abuse? Egwono, are you able to share with us?
Yeah. So they say domestic abuse is defined as an incident or pattern of incidents of controlling, coercive, threatening, degrading, and violent behavior, including sexual violence, in the majority of cases by a partner or ex-partner, but also it could be by a family member or carer. Just for us to also let to know that only 3 years ago in the UK, a legislation was taken up, and this is the Domestic Abuse 2021 Act. Now, in the Act, they knew that actually domestic abuse isn't just physical abuse. It isn't just violence, but it's in different forms, which we'll definitely go into.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. So yeah, I think we can dive into that now. So what are the different forms of domestic abuse?
Yeah. So the different forms of domestic abuse are, the number one that everyone knows about is physical abuse, sexual abuse. It can also be emotional abuse, coercive, and also financial or economic abuse.
Wow. It's not an easy subject, and it's not something that people like to talk about, which is why we decided to have this campaign. We want to create a movement, create a safe space for us to be able to discuss domestic abuse, to discuss the different scenarios, so that if you're not aware of what's happening, then you can be informed, you can get educated and elevated on this subject of domestic abuse. What we're doing is just going through the different themes, in summary, because it's a big topic that it could take all day. So I want to encourage us to join the social media sites, join the campaign by following us at UYG Social Enterprise on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, because we will be having daily discussions throughout the 16 days. Now, one of the themes we have is break the silence on domestic abuse. What does it mean, Christina, to break the silence on domestic abuse, and how can it empower survivors and communities?
So as you touched on just now, that a lot of people don't talk about domestic abuse. There seems to come with it a sense of shame, a sense of blame and guilt with perhaps letting it go on for too long, perhaps not having noticed it or being unaware that you were even going through it in the first place. And I think a lot of us have a kind of perfectionist mindset about ourselves and how we should lead our lives, especially people that are interested in self-improvement and personal development. And it just, if we decide to talk about something, people will understand that actually it's more common than we realize. It's more common to let it slide for a longer period of time as well than we probably should let it do. But it's also really important to talk about it in a way that removes the blame and the guilt and the shame that comes along with it. Because I think even for myself, going through domestic abuse in my marriage, to talk about it, you sometimes feel like you're not allowed to talk about your ex-partner in a bad way because it makes you look like a bad person, like you've still got some, toxic behaviors or toxic cycles around this issue. But it's really important to talk about domestic abuse as a way to solve it, to overcome it in society, because not a lot of people really know that there are more things to domestic abuse than physical violence or emotional control, such as the digital abuse, financial abuse. And some people don't even realize that they're an abuser themselves. So some people could be in a domestic abuse relationship, they're a victim, but they're also a perpetrator of abuse in their own way. So it's really important to open these discussions outside of blame, outside of shame, and just really open up and delve deep and reveal the layers of what it actually means and how we can overcome it.
Oh, thank you so much, Christina. And I think that's really the ethos and the aim and the goal of what we do at UYG. All our events, our courses, our programs are all designed to give an opportunity for women to break the silence. Because as we've just acknowledged, that sometimes a woman in particular may not be aware that what they're going through is domestic abuse. But when we have our safe circle, for example, and you hear someone explaining the dynamics of their relationship, you get to realize, oh my goodness, this is what I'm facing, and this is not right. And I personally, as a survivor, as someone who has overcome domestic abuse, which is the reason why I founded this organization, I realized that these are the gaps. I wasn't aware what I was going through was domestic abuse. So had I had the safe space or the community or heard about different types of relationship, then maybe I could have realized sooner. So thank you so much for sharing that, Christina. Our next question is, do financial dynamics within a household contribute to domestic abuse? Egwano, able to share?
So when we talk about financial abuse and economic abuse, a lot of people may not really understand again that when you are being controlled, you're not being able to to utilize your own funds. You do not have access to your bank account. You're not allowed. There's so much control with you having to even utilize your money or whatever you purchase for yourself or for just by yourself independently, then actually that becomes, or that's classified as financial and economic abuse. Now, when that person is unable for them to actually access these funds for themselves, for their own lives, then they become trapped. There's so much control over their life. They cannot even if they understand that they are being abused, that it is very difficult for them to run away or to flee from that abuse. And then that person really just becomes a shell of themselves. They are unable to actually move on with life, and then they can actually get stuck in the abuse.
Wow. So not having the freedom to operate your finances.
No freedom,
For another word. Okay. Yes. Like I said, we are just sharing snippets. I do want to encourage you viewers to really join in this conversation in the comments and throughout the 16 days, because we will dive a lot deeper into these subjects. So the next subject is, in today's digital age, abuse has taken a new form. How can women recognize and protect themselves from digital abuse? Christina, are you able to share?
Yeah, so first of all, let's talk about what digital abuse is, because it's quite new to the forum. Essentially, it kind of means if you're being monitored digitally or so I say that, but being monitored digitally is having someone check on what you're doing digitally in the world. So your social media, your emails, anything you've got going on that involves the internet, essentially. So your phone, your computers at home, your financials, what you're spending your money on, anything like that can be a form of abuse, because it leaves you feeling like you're being watched all the time. And we all know that that's not a comfortable experience at all. But it can also be that you're being monitored digitally. So your digital's being monitored, but you're also being monitored digitally. So again, there's a way of being watched through CCTV in your home, perhaps. So right now, the Ring company is very popular, very prevalent in our society, and people just now have CCTV wherever you go. But in certain relationships, that is actually being used to abuse people. So people they're being questioned what they do throughout the day. If someone's got a plan for the day that they're supposed to be doing for their partner, and their partner's just checking the CCTV and finding out what they're up to throughout the day, it just leaves you feeling quite uneasy. I think even in a relationship where abuse isn't happening, I think that would be quite an uneasy situation to feel like you're in, like you don't have any personal private space or any private time. So that's a form of digital abuse. How do we recognize it and protect ourselves? So first of all, you need to report it. If it's something that is being perpetrated against you by your partner, and you've spoken to them about it, and you've made your opinion very clear that you're not comfortable with it, but it continues, then really you need to ask yourself what sort of situation you're in, and are you happy to remain in that situation, even if there's no other form of abuse. This is still quite a fresh form of abuse that's in coming into the mainstream, but it is really important to report something like this, find help, go to your community, and just really get your mind over whether this is something you're happy to live in, because personally it's not something that I would like to live in, a situation like that. So I would be able to have a conversation with any partners, and having open communication is so important for any relationship anyway. So this would be a way that you would just protect yourself, is to speak to your partner first, see if it's something you can compromise on, if they're just really up in, you know, home security, or whether it's really is there's something more sinister to it. And if they're not open to discussion, then you need to report it and perhaps make moves to remove yourself from that situation.
Thank you so much, Christina. The next question is, domestic abuse leaves lasting scars on both the mind and the body. So how can holistic healing play a role in recovery? Are you able to share a little bit on that, Christina, and then Iguana?
Yeah, sure. So holistic healing would be your mind, your body, and your soul. I always like to have that extra word there. And it's just your mind with healing. It's really about mindset. So talking to people, self-discovery, personal development, learning more about what situation you're in, and realizing that you're not at fault. You didn't do anything to deserve the situation you're in. Sometimes things just happen. You don't even realize sometimes that you've fallen into a trap. The person who's the perpetrator maybe doesn't even realize that they're doing it in the first place. So being self-aware and learning what situation you're in, and learning the coping skills, learning how you really should be treated in life is really important. And then with the body sense of things, really, we're right at UYG, we are really into self-care, and that's how I even met these ladies in the first place, is through the International Women's Day back in March. They had a self-care day, and I'm all about self-care. I live for beauty and makeup and all that girly stuff. So I just came along with that, and it helps you. If you feel good in your mind, you feel good in your body, and then if you feel good in your body, you present yourself so much more confidently in life as well, and you really do start to value yourself and know your worth. And that's where a situation you're going to be in, you're going to feel better about yourself, and you're going to feel bolder, you're going to feel stronger, and that's going to play out in all of your relationships, not just your personal at-home relationships. It's going to play in everything. So with your mind and your body, getting self-care, getting self-awareness, and improving on both of those is so important. And then moving on to the soul, this is about community. So finding people that are in a similar situation with you, or have been through it, or just seem to be on the outside when looking in, and they can just see more than you can because you can't see the wood for all the trees. Having someone in community and just building you up from the outside in is so important in this world. And that's what we're here for with UYG. We're here as community. We're here to give you some soul food and help you really improve in any situation that you're in, whether you're long time out of domestic abuse or you're just coming out of it now. We are here for you, and that's why we are doing this discussion. That's why we're so passionate about helping women.
Thank you so much. Iguana, did you have anything to add there?
Yes, just following on from what Christina has said. When we're talking about holistically, we're talking, like you said, the body, the soul, your mind, your spirit, everything. Now we need to remind ourselves that we have this thing that is called self-esteem. Now we need to be able to understand how we are going to love ourselves. And like we said, self-care is like number one thing. It's a practice, it's almost like medicine. And when you are able to do self-care, that's when you've understood that your self-esteem is paramount.
Wow.
Now, having self-esteem, being able to build your self-esteem is what's going to help with your holistic healing. Having the understanding that you are valuable. When you have that and you know that you're able to love yourself, then the healing starts to take place, whereby you first of all understand that abuse is wrong.
Yeah.
And then you can also move forward in life understanding that if anything comes close to that, or if you are exposed to such, you understand that is wrong. And preventative care as well, understand that no one is going to be able to come to you with that type of abuse. They can only try. However, when they can see your persona, that you love yourself, you have a healthy self-esteem, they will back off.
Wow.
They will literally back off.
Thank you so much, lead counselor. I know it's difficult to ask you wonderful queens to summarize, but it's just because of time. We will be having these discussions every day, like I said. So do please follow us and join in the conversation. Now, last but not least, how does skill building align with our theme of Join Queens, Elevate and End Abuse? Christina, are you able to share?
Yeah, so our ethos here at UYG is all about joining as queens together, elevating our, what would we call them? I just always say our women, elevating them through the process of self-development, personal development and professional development to end abuse. So we're not just a first fix organisation. We don't only work with women fresh out of abuse situation. We don't only do therapy. We have therapy, of course, with Iguano, our lead counsellor. But what we like to concentrate on is elevating our queens into moving forward in life, having something new to reorient towards, something important, a new goal, some dreams. And we really do emphasize how important that is to have somewhere new to orient towards, because we always fall back into, I'm going to say we always, that's a definitive statement I probably shouldn't say. However, most people struggle with moving on because you just get addicted to the cortisol, you get addicted to the toxic attachments, and we fall back into past relationships when we think better the devil you know, and that's so not the case. And that's how I ended up being in my abusive relationship for so long, because I just kept falling back into that relationship. You start to miss them, you forget all the bad, and you just go back. So what we're doing here at UYG is we are giving these women something new to head towards. We're helping them build businesses through entrepreneurship, professional development, and really this is how we feel it's going to help to end abuse, because it's not just a bandage for the problem. It's not a plaster you stick on. We're really rebuilding these women inside out with self-esteem, their self-worth, their education, efficacy, everything like that. We are packaging together within the umbrella of UYG social enterprise, and we are so proud and so passionate about helping these women, and it really is our theme for this campaign. And it's not something we do once a year. This is our ethos, this is our lifestyle. Empowering other people isn't just a buzzword for us, it's really what we do and what we're all about.
Wow, absolutely. I mean, personal development is our core, is our objective, and we believe that once you develop yourself personally, it's one of the tools or the keys for you to actually create those barriers against domestic abuse. So we've come to the end of our day one discussion. Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you everyone for viewing and tuning in. Like I said, it's just a summary. Continue in the discussion in the campaign throughout the 16 days through our social sites, where we'll be discussing the themes that we introduced today. So Christina, I welcome you to give our closing remarks.
So thank you to our panelists and for everyone who joined us today for this important discussion. We hope today's conversation has inspired you to think about how we as a community can uplift one another and work to end domestic abuse. As we continue this campaign, we encourage you to participate in the daily themes, share your thoughts on social media using the hashtag #JoinQueensElevateEndAbuse, and access resources available through Kent and Medway councils. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic abuse, help is available. Please refer to the resources listed in our video description or on our website. Join us tomorrow as we explore understanding domestic abuse and its impact. Together, let's stand united to elevate lives and end abuse. Thank you, and we'll see you then.